Hi everyone, it's Catherine here from Ink Finger Cat, and I thought I'd come back and do another of my Use Up a Magazine kit, but to be honest, I wasn't sure what to do, so I thought, right, let's have a little flick through the magazine. Didn't get very far, basically the next to back page. I saw a card that I liked, so I'm going to credit here Marie Jones, because she designed the card that I am basing this on, that is in the magazine. I don't think I don't know who Marie Jones is, as in I don't follow her already, so I don't think I can actually tag her in any way. But I'll have a little look and see if I can find anything. If I do manage to, I'll pop something into the description below. So what did I do? Well, I decided on a DL card because that's the design that was there, and I pulled out some pieces of pattern paper. Now, I think literally, I didn't read anything, I just saw the picture. So I'm now looking at it and going, well, how did she do it? She did it with watercolour paints. I decided instead to emboss directly onto the pieces of the pattern paper. But first, I made my little background panel. So the background panel I did with the, what's it called? The packaging technique. So you put some ink onto some cellophane packaging, spritz it with water, and then splodge it all over. Dead simple, unpredictable, but looks really cool at the end. And you did that with two different colours of Stampin' Up ink. One of my favourite ever Stampin' Up inks, which is Crisp Cantaloupe, which is the sort of peachy colour. And the other one I think I did with Hello Honey. We're going to have to say it is because I've already packed it away and I can't remember which one it was, but I think it was Hello Honey. It was either Hello Honey or More Mustard, I'm not sure. But they were the two colours that I chose for the background, because I thought they went with these papers that I had chosen to stamp onto. And then I'm stamping using Versamark and then white embossing powder. And I'm doing all my stamping and then adding them with the white embossing powder. And then I will put all that away. As you can see, I managed a little spill, so I try my hardest to keep as much of the white embossing powder as I can. So I tidy up and then I will go in and heat it all in one go. Firstly, that means it's nice and easy because the heat tool warms up and stays warmed up in one go, but also it just means that you can do it quickly because you're doing it in stages. Now, at this point, at this point I have to add them to some scrap cardstock. The reason being is I want to fussy cut them out and I want them to have some structure to them, and this paper is too thin for that to happen. So I just add them to some scrap cardstock, and then I'll find another piece for the other one, glue them down with my Pritt stick, and then I will fussy cut. But you'll see I go into super zoom, fast forward. If only I could fussy cut as quick as this. But the reason being is it takes a bit of time, obviously, to fussy cut all of these little shapes. They're dead easy to fussy cut, but it does take a bit of time and it'd be a bit monotonous for you to watch and to listen to me waffle. So I really love the colours of these, the sort of the peachy, mustardy colours that are in the background of those papers. They're just so pretty. I love them. And I think I did a really good job at matching the ink backgrounds to make it make sense with these colours that were on there. Obviously, what you see is a lot of the white because the white heat embossing, but I still think it looks really cool. The fussy cutting, I didn't go completely up to the edge of them, but it was almost to the edge of the line art. So it's less of a border than I would normally do, but similar idea. Now, rather than doing the heat embossing for all of the leaves and the green, the greenery element, I took this panel that I made ages ago for another one of the using up this magazine kit. But it was just too bright. It was too in your face, the green. So do you know what? Adjust it. That's the simple thing. If it doesn't quite work for my project, I'm going to adjust it. So I just took the Mossy Meadow and blended a little bit over the top, give it a quick wipe with a baby wipe so it was sort of like slightly damp. Just help blend it in. You still get the sort of differentiation between differentiation. I now don't know. You know, when you say a word too many times, you're not quite sure if you're saying it right. You still get the different colours of greens and shading to it that you get from the Brushos, but it's just a slightly more toned down. It's not quite as in your face as that original green was. And I think that works really well. So I have differed now from how Marie did hers, because she did hers with all white embossing, and obviously this is a dark green embossing because I've just picked up a panel from another project. You see that I did do a few more there, but I'll use them later on when I'm finishing off the card. So now the sentiment, I chose to use the Happy Birthday sentiment from the set. Again, wheat height embossed it. Oh, goodness me, I can't speak today. White heat embossed it. And then again, went in with the packaging technique. First the yellowy colour and then the pinky peach colour. And then I just wiped over it again with the baby wipe just to sort of like smooth it a little bit. Then I should have let it dry a little bit. It was a little bit damp and that caused me a bit of a problem. But I survived and it worked. So I then die cut the circle. Now my little bit of a problem was my die was a bit dirty and it kind of clung to the edge of the circle. Again, I found a way to solve that in a minute, so it's all right. I then take a larger circle die and this time I'm going to die cut out some more of that pattern paper. This one, the sort of yellowy goldy colour, and that's going to be the base for that, and I'm deciding whether to add a flower, etc. So cutting another couple of leaves out, I think, well, just one at that point. And then I decide, right, it is time to go. Now at that point, I should have edged the whole panel with the crisp cantaloupe. But I don't think to do it at this point. I do it at the very end instead, which is more difficult because I have a few of the flowers and leaves sort of hanging out. But I do remember to do it for that little circle, which disguises the little marks that have been made where the die was a bit dirty. And now I am ignoring my original layout. I am just plonking things down where I fancy plonking them down. So my layout does become a little bit busier looking than Marie's original. But I'm really happy with how mine comes out. It's my version of the card. It's not her version. It's my own. I have got them so that some of the leaves and the flowers are just slightly poking over the edges, which is nice because this panel is smaller than the actual card blankets going on. And you may have noticed that sometimes I've used leaves that are only partial leaves, and that's absolutely fine because they are going to sit underneath the flower, so the bit that's missing you won't notice. This flower, because I was just poking it over the edge of the die cut circle, that top die cut circle I had raised up on adhesive foam. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. So I have put a bit of adhesive foam just underneath the side of the flower that's off the circle, and the rest of it I popped onto, popped a bit of glue. And there we go. That's the front of my card done. Now, I am deciding what to do, and I really wanted some pearls. I know that Marie had used some kind of gems on hers, but I really wanted pearls, but I haven't got a huge amount of pearls in my stash. I used to have hundreds and hundreds of them, Stampin' Up ones, but I've now only got these teeny tiny ones, or I've got the massive ones. So the massive ones aren't Stampin' Up ones. I don't know where I've got them from. Just had them at some point. So I did them to the centre of the big 4 flowers, and then I went with just the tiny little gems, the tiny little pearls in between areas. This is me deciding whether the next tiny pearls would work in the centre of those tiny flowers. They don't, so I went with some yellow gems instead. Hindsight, I wish I didn't do that. I wish I hadn't added the yellow, but do you know what? It still looks lovely. I probably should have just left them plain rather than trying to match them in. And my leftover flowers and leaves, I've gone on the inside of the card just to finish it off. And I also stamped the sentiment as well, just because I felt like it needed something else on the inside. So thank you to Marie for the inspiration. Sometimes we need to go back and look at the magazine to see if there's any inspiring things. I haven't looked through this magazine until this point for some ideas, so I suspect I might need to do it again because I'm starting to slow down on this challenge with some ideas. I've still got a couple of KCC 19 cards ready to make. I just wasn't feeling it today. But I hope you've enjoyed that. Please do, of course, like if you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment below. Do you use magazines for inspiration? And please subscribe to see future videos. As I say, not quite sure what else is coming up, but there'll be something. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Bye bye.